Good morning, everyone, and welcome to American Scouser's Morning Coffee or Tea with AmericanScouser.com. Got the morning coffee. It's that time of year when you're in online sales, Rami, where you drink like 4 or 5 cups a day. So it might even be the same mug. I'm still rolling with the greatest dad over here, but it's Wednesday, so it's Rami Wednesday over here. What's going on, man?
What's going on, Timu? Happy to be here on the morning of some more World Cup action. I just have water today, no caffeine or anything, so
So
clear
are you like
liquids.
over the top excited for this game, knowing like there's somebody that you're really rooting for, or like is it like a nervous wait, like it would be if it was Egypt, for example, or is it more like a more of an excited wait?
It's kind of nervous, but I think like me personally, at least I've kind of like, okay, they made it this far. It's been a great run, but like the writing's a bit on the wall, so just kind of like enjoying that, just being here. You know what I mean? So
That's one thing I was talking about yesterday in terms of like something that can, I think, like help Morocco because everything at this point is like icing on the cake. Nobody win, you know what I mean? Like there's no pressure in that sense of having to win or anything like that. Obviously, there's desire and they have the momentum going and they want to keep, they want to keep like rolling. But it's not like they're expected to win, so they don't have probably the same pressure. For example, France and Argentina and those teams had in terms of like you gotta win. So when things go slightly south or not as planned, I think it's a lot easier for them to be, relaxed. Scott is with us this morning. Good morning. He says from the workplace. And knowing what Scott does, he's patrolling out there. So there'll be a lot of people speeding around where Scott is right now because he's going to be busy with our conversation. Good morning, Scott. So, Rami, let's get to a couple of the headlines. Obviously, most of the headlines since Morocco is playing is nothing but Amrabat, how is a good fit and how he's going to be great wherever he goes and who Liverpool faces as competition and stuff like that. I'm assuming, obviously, you follow and watch this team a lot closer than we do. Um, what do you think of him, like in terms of how well of a fit he is and stuff like that?
yeah, I think he'd be a great fit, honestly. I think he'd play the Fabinho role really well. I'm surprised he wasn't getting more attention around Europe before this World Cup, to be honest. Like, he plays pretty well for Florentina, from what I understand. I don't watch a ton of their games, to be honest, but yeah, from what I understand, he's kind of played the same way this season that he has for Morocco. And so, yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't gotten more attention from like bigger teams like Liverpool. But I think, yeah, he'd be, and at the price that they're quoting, like 30 million, I believe, is I think he'd be a great deal to be like the type of player to come in and be like a deputy to Fabinho that we really haven't had. And so yeah, I think it'd be a great fit personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's odd because I mean, maybe we should be thankful. Usually, like when you watch the World Cup, anytime somebody has a half-ass decent performance, next day they like linked with like all these clubs. I had to give it to the media where they were pretty prepared for this World Cup, where there was a bunch of just BS other stories like how did they get here and stuff like that that they had ready to publish. So they kind of waited till the quarterfinals to start the rumorville and be like, hey, this guy could go here, this guy could go there. I mean, I'm sure all these guys, I mean, we were talking about on the Monday podcast. They're not like, oh my god, did you see that game yesterday? That guy is good. I'm sure there's like a lot of scouting on them. I mean, he's play. It's not like he's in an unknown league. He plays in Serie A and stuff like that. But you think a guy like that would be interested in coming over as a deputy, though, knowing after this performance he can probably go to a bigger club as a starter, in quotations, guaranteed.
Right, and that's the question because he's what 26, 27, I believe.
26, I
Uh,
think he is. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he's kind of entering the prime of his career. So it would be the question of would he become Fabinho's deputy, or would it be the other way around? Would he come here and start and then maybe push Fabinho to kind of a bench role? And that's the question that remains to be seen. But I think he'd understand that his value is never going to be higher than it is right now. And so if he ever wants to capitalize that on like maybe make that big move, now's really the time. And if it's Liverpool's the team that comes knocking, then I mean, I think it'd be kind of hard to turn down if you're in his position.
Is it more? I mean, I guess that's the thing. If you're going to a top team like Liverpool, I don't know if your position is ever guaranteed. I mean, if he wants to be known as I'm going there to be the starter, he would have to go to, I don't want to like I say a second tier, but definitely the lower parts of the first tier if you want to go somewhere as a guaranteed starter. And yeah, like you're saying, I mean, with his age, it's now or never for him because really, if he signs a contract now, next time around when he can sign a contract when he's 28 and 29, I don't know how many people will go in for him knowing he's kind of like towards the end of the career. I mean, he's at the peak, but it's only going to go down from there. But I think for the price tag and stuff, definitely a good option for January. I know we're all drooling over the Bellingham stuff and Fernandez stuff, but Fernandez perhaps, but I would think Bellingham would not be in January, and would not. I mean, even if we seal the deal in January, he will not be here till the summer. And honestly, we definitely do need further enforcements for midfield in January. So we can't just sign these guys and be like, oh, we're taking care of in summer, because God knows what will happen till summer. I mean, some of the injury news from the camp right now, which the boys are going to play again on Friday against Milan. And so Elliott's came off with no injury for the most part. He's actually was at full practice, but now Curtis Jones is kind of missing in action since we went to camp over there. What is your take? I don't know if I've ever asked you, where do you stand with Curtis Jones? I think we made it pretty clear on the Monday podcast where everybody stands on him, but what is your take on him? Is he just there because he is local, convenience, close?
Yeah.
Or is he
That's probably a good way
really
to put
going
it,
to
yeah.
reach that potential?
I mean, I think he gets a bit of a pass because he is local and, he came through the academy. But I definitely think there's a good player there. And otherwise, he still wouldn't be around. And he's young. He was like the first real prospect after Trent. And so I think I still think we should give him a chance. And I've said this before. And, very rarely does a player go out on loan and come back and, be successful for Liverpool. But I think that could be an option for him. I think if he, maybe takes a loan to say like Aston Villa or something, just like a mid-table Premier League team where he can play more regularly and develop. I think, and then he comes back and maybe we give him a more fair shot. I just don't think that in this midfield he's good enough, and B, and in this midfield if you're not good enough, it's kind of like saying something, and B, it's like if you're not getting the minutes in this midfield, you're never really going to improve and then take that next step. So I think for him, it's about getting playing time anywhere. And whether that's with Liverpool or somewhere else, I think eventually that steps needs to be taken.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. He is, to his credits, or I should say in his defense, he's been thrown in some situations where he's not suited for, playing left wing and playing in areas that his skill set is not ideally suited for, or not his natural position. But he has not been, I think you made a really good point there, where if you can't really shine and grab a position in the state the midfield is currently, or it was during the season with all the injuries and absences, I know when you will. I mean, I don't know. You're not going to when Amrabat and Fernandez or Bellingham or stuff comes in. So, but at the same time, like you said, usually when we loan out a player, unless they're like a kid, like Elliott was, means we're probably thinking not long term for them. I can't think of a lot of examples where we loaned somebody out and then they became like a really important piece. They might have stuck around for another season or two and then eventually got moved on. Chelsea has some bad news from Armando Broa. He's out for the year now with an ACL. And I saw this headline, and dude, Morocco fans heartbreak as flights were canceled. I would freaking run, swim, whatever I have to if I had tickets to a World Cup semifinal and could not get there. So let's get to the World Cup over here. Oh, by the way, Ronaldo says Neymar needs psychological support, probably from rolling on the ground. He could be dizzy, so he needs all kinds of help, I'm sure. But so what do you make of the game yesterday? It had to be, and I didn't see my brother's message till later in the evening, but he had pretty much sent the same message, like, man, what a boring ass game for a semifinal. And I felt the same way. I felt like the moment the second goal went in, it was almost like game over. It just went like poof, and the whole game went flat. But what do you make of that semifinal yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have anyone to blame for it being a boring game other than Brazil for not tracking back in the 117th minute or whatever it was and preventing that goal. That's what we have to blame for that. Because it was Argentina Brazil, that would have been a much better game. I'll stand by that. But I mean, I was happy to see. I think I've told you this before. I'm a Messi fanboy, and so I've been my whole life.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. So,
yeah. And that's my time on the show.
And I have to find somebody else for next Wednesday, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So
But I mean, I'm in my mid 20s, so basically, like, I grew up watching Messi. That was my first favorite player. So I just kind of that's where the love affair started. But to see him still at this age be able to do the things that he does, like at this stage of his career, if you told me Argentina would be in a World Cup final, I thought it'd be like he'd be playing like a support role, maybe coming in last like 30 minutes and stuff. But no, he's the best player on the field every single time. And so for me, like I said, as somebody's watched him his whole career, it's really great to see, and I hope he culminates it on Sunday with what's really been the missing piece in his career. Those
Well,
Maradona
you're saying
comparisons
I'm
and
not a
stuff.
Messi fanboy because I'm old. First of all, let's get that out of the way because you brought up the age thing. Okay, that's I see where this is going. But I
You
think the
said it,
thing
not
that
me.
annoys me the most, and throughout, literally, I turned it down all the way yesterday as I was like watching the game and kept kind of like watching it. It was like a really, I got a lot more work done than I normally do during the World Cup games. Let's go that way. Um, but I think the thing that I can't stand is like Messi, who, by the way, didn't this guy freaking quit the national team at one point because he was pouting because he was not happy, kind of like what Neymar did after the World Cup. But at least Neymar, even Neymar, had the decency to say, it might be the heat of the moment. Now I'm saying this, but no, Messi flat out, like way afterwards, quit this national team and then came back. And I just hate like this entire talk about, see, Messi finally has help. That's why he's going to the final and stuff. Like before, it was 1v11, or he was playing with a bunch of chumps. Like it wasn't the Argentina national team before or something like that. Like when everything is going good, it's because of Messi. When everything was going south and they were not winning crap, it was like, oh, Messi just doesn't have the help. If he had the help, it would be different. So are you like one of those guys saying, are you like a true Messi fanboy when you say yeah, that's because he didn't have help before?
I think I'm a Messi fanboy within reason. I don't think he's immune to criticism at all. So, so I think I'm a little bit more in reason. Like I can be spoken to with reason at least. But yeah, no, it's I will admit that is kind of, I don't know what the word is, just annoying, I guess. The treatment that he gets, especially, I was gonna say him and Ronaldo, but even Messi gets his own kind of special treatment when compared to Ronaldo. Like the media does not rip into Messi the same way that they do Ronaldo. If, for example, if Ronaldo celebrated the way Argentina did, or Messi and Argentina did against Netherlands, then the media would be all over that. But because
Yep.
it's Messi, it's like, oh, he's the star or whatever. Like he's more of like the innocent, like I don't know what the word is, just he's just kind of more media friendly, I guess. So I think
He
that
reminds
is
me
that
of
is a
that
big
like
difference.
sneaky brother, which I played a great role, as my big older brother here, where you actually start the shit, but you act so innocent, like you're like, I don't even know what happened, and so you get away with shit all the time because you go around as innocent, but you're creating shit in the background. And I feel like he's like that. I mean, he's just as much of an ego. And I guess maybe it's you can't be helped when you're going around like everybody's like calling you the goat. So I guess it kind of comes with that. But I feel like he has just as big of an ego as Ronaldo. He just doesn't go around as douchey about it. The way he carries himself, it looks like, see, he doesn't have an ego, which he actually does. He does it behind the scenes. And I mean, we've seen him get away with calls and stuff like that. I mean, the guy is an awesome player. It's a fun to watch. Some of those passes he does, it's just like, how the hell do you see that? I watched a documentary on him when he talks about, like when even they were talking about it yesterday, like he's walking around, but he's constantly surveying like where the defensive players are, like tendencies and stuff like that. So when he gets the ball, he actually knows where the opening is gonna be and all that kind of stuff. But I just hate that like commentary about now he has help finally kind of thing. It's not like the Argentina team 4 years ago was brutal. I mean, it's freaking Argentina. Like it's like hard to think to get into.
Right, and even 2014 they made the final. That's still a good team that's good enough to make it to the final. Yeah, maybe in that game Higuain or whoever let him down, but it's like that's not the Argentina team. That's just one player. So yeah, I
Yes.
definitely agree. He's definitely been part of good teams in the past, and I don't think that's an excuse for his failures with Argentina and all those like Copa America finals and missed penalties or whatever. Like that's not on his team. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a team sports. I mean, just because
Yeah,
he's out there doesn't mean he's going to win. I think they people like kind of like make it more like it's not necessarily. I mean, heck, you can even be a quarterback, and if you don't have a line, you're not doing a whole lot. I mean, it's like in any
right.
sport, you can't freaking. I mean, basketball, if you're double team, you kick out. The guy has to make the open shot. You can't freaking like score every point and stuff. I mean, yeah, sometimes in a game like maybe basketball, you can see a player take over the game a bit more, but then that's because it's 5v5, first of all. I mean, this is 11v11. One guy's importance can only go up to a certain level. But I mean, they made easy work of that Croatia team, to be honest with you. I did not expect it. I mean, everybody knows, and if you don't know, you should know that I'm in Liverpool. But and I did expect like an Argentina win, but I did not think it would be this easy. I guess that game was not competitive at all.
Yeah, after the first 20 minutes, I thought Croatia looked really good. They held the ball and they looked kind of dangerous in midfield. And then something, I think it might have just been giving away that penalty or just something just kind of clicked for Argentina. And then from that point on, it was game over. I think, like I said, it was the penalty, conceding that, and then suddenly they're down 1-0 and chasing the game. And then 5 minutes later, they concede the second. And I don't think Croatia is used to trying to get two goals, maybe one goal, get it to extra time, whatever. But two goals was just kind of too much for them. And at that point it was game over. Just hold what you have for Argentina.
Yeah, it felt like that was the case, right? They got 1-0. They're like, that's cool, we're good. And then that
Hmm.
second goal is the kind of goal that makes you rage quit on FIFA because everything bounced right back in front of the dude. Like you're like, okay, the momentum is out of control over here. And he scores that, and you could almost tell, be like, two goals, I know about that. And that kind of how the game went afterwards. I mean, it's still the quality team. I really would have rather, I mean, if you're gonna see a superstar who deserves to lift the World Cup, I I don't know, maybe because I'm a little dude and like had more like the physical capabilities of him, but I'd rather have Modric get there and get more like the accolades he deserves than probably Messi. I'm sure Messi fanboys like you do not agree, but so how about the game today? What do you I know what your heart wants,
Right.
but do you think? I mean, Morocco will have a chance against France.
I think Morocco has to make sure they don't concede early. I think that's the most important thing. I think if they can maybe even get to like halftime, 0-0, I think they have a chance. The issue is if they score, let's just say France scores in the first 10, 15 minutes. Morocco really hasn't been scored on. They haven't really conceded first yet this tournament. Now that I think about it, and so that'd be a new position for them. And doing it against France is not the team you want to be doing that against. And so we have to start seeing their plan B and them coming out more and being more prone to attack, to counterattacks and stuff like that. So that's my main concern. But if they can get it, 45th, 60th minute, 0-0 still, then the belief will start to grow, and maybe we can get a goal, or maybe we can get this to extra time and penalties and stuff. So that I say that as I think that's their only route to victory. I don't think they're going to be able to play toe to toe with France at the end of the day. It's going to be too much for them. And like you said, I don't know what I hope happens. Is different than what I think will happen. I think just at the end of the day, France is just going to have too much. There's going to have too much for them. They had too much for England, and I think Morocco is going to be no different.
So you're expecting more of like a similar game to the Portugal game, really, where I mean it was, let's face it, I mean they got that goal due to a goalie error, but they were good to break Portugal's press and come out and have some counter chances. So they did create opportunities in that game. France does not press because they have Giroud obviously up front, so they don't press as much as a team like Portugal does. So does that kind of almost force Morocco to come out a bit more, which means they're going to leave a gap open, or you think they're going to pretty much park the bus and say, well, you two up there, if something happens, otherwise we're going to defend back here?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I hadn't really thought of that. And I think we could see a bit of both. I don't think Morocco is scared to have the ball. I think that's the difference between them and a lot of small teams that made it this far. I think they have more than enough, playmakers and good people on the ball. But I don't think they're scared to have it. It's more of the point that you know they've gone here on what's worked, and what's worked has been parking the bus. Like you said, that Portugal game, they just parked the bus. I don't think Portugal got more than two or three half chances, and
Yep.
just hope that they don't convert them. And that, like I said, I think the difference between that and today is I think France does convert them today, and that's where the difference is.
I think that's the thing because France has, they have Giroud in the middle who can kind of you can cross to, and he's gonna find some kind of a weird way to score at the end. But aside from that, they have speed outside too, with obviously Mbappe and Dembele and stuff. So I think they give that threat. I know Portugal tried to do that afterwards by putting Ronaldo in. I still think that was a bad move. That was more like a desperate move on their part, because what brought you here wasn't keep loading it into the box and stuff. That wasn't the way to go. And that kind of like helped Morocco. They were like, yeah, just keep crossing it in. We're all in the middle over here. So they were able to like clear a lot easier, because like you said, they only got like a couple of half chances at best against Morocco. But so give me a score prediction over here.
My heart's prediction or my mind's prediction? Because those are two different things.
I think everybody knows your heart prediction. And honestly,
Right.
I think normally like my heart would root for Morocco too. But after hearing all this freaking Messi crap, I'm more like, man, the only person like the only I don't see Argentina Morocco being, I just don't want yesterday Argentina game to be the same thing as the final. I'm hoping for a more competitive final. And that's why I think I don't mind France winning, but part of me, wants Morocco to win, just the underdog story kind of thing. So I know your heart is all Morocco over here, which I still find really odd, by the way. I was like telling a couple of people about this, because I don't know, it's different, I guess, but like being from, it's not Turkey, by the way, it's Turkey. I've been saying Turkey myself, and I guess this change I got like chewed out the other day. So because I mean it's freaking habit. I've called it Turkey for 47 years. I'm not gonna be like, okay, it's Turkey now. But like I don't know if Greece was there. I'm not gonna like start rooting for Greece, or I can't think of any other country in the neighborhood that I'd be like really all for, unless it was the same underdog story. But you have like more of the other connection to Morocco that makes your hearts want them to win. But what does the brain say?
Yeah, the brain says something completely different. I'd say 2-0 France. That's
Okay.
probably my
Yeah. I
guess.
mean, I think when we were talking with Alex, we kind of thought today would be the 3-0 game. And, yesterday would have been a lot closer fought battle, but not so much, unfortunately. So I agree, though. I think it's kind of hard to see it going another way. But hey, you never know. That's why they play the games. I just hope it's a lot more competitive game. I just don't want it to be like yesterday. So even if it is going to be 2-0, I hope it's 1-0 for the most part, with Morocco getting some chances as opposed to the other way around. Which, mind you, Croatia got some chances and open looks, but it's just you never got the feeling in that game that they were going to come back. And I don't know if it would be different if it was 2-1. And credit to Argentina. Well, I don't know if it's a credit, but having already given up goals when they were up by 2, they had no shame in their game, and they were like, you know what, we're just gonna freaking defend. They put like a third center back in, and they were like, yeah, we're not giving up the lead this time. We're not going through the same stress again, kind of thing. And I think having all those defenders in the back and not being as aggressive, kind of like you're saying, like doing the naive thing Brazil did, and still going for goals when you had the lead and you were minutes away from a freaking semifinal. I thought Argentina played that very smart, because they knew. And I think when you got Messi, that's the advantage there. When you have somebody like Messi and stuff, you don't need a whole lot of guys up top to create chances. You just need to give them some space on the counter, and then they can make something happen, which they were. I mean, they could have probably scored more. So this is a headline from yesterday. I kind of wanted to get your take on this before we take off for the day. Is the whole Sancho thing at United? So he is not in the right physical or mental preparedness, readiness, whatever you want to call it. Like he's kind of away from the team, going to get ready and stuff like that. What do you make of that? I mean, that sounds very disturbing to a young talent that United has destroyed yet once again. Or where are we at with this?
Yeah, I was initially concerned when I heard about that. I think, like you said, because he's a young player and he hasn't had the best of starts to his career in the Premier League or with Man United. So you kind of hope that it's not like a mental health thing, because we all talk about like how important mental health is. We see these ads, like these banners all around the games at the Premier League, and it's a big initiative now in today's society. And I just hope that it's not something that's so serious that he can't come back from. That's my main concern. And if it is physical, like that's not just a part of football. But what I did have issue with is Ten Hag coming out and being like, "This is the reason why." Because I think that's the type of thing that should be kind of kept private in house. Be like, whatever, make up a reason. Pull a Greg Berhalter with Gio Reyna and just make up a reason. And then move on. But I had to get my shot in at the U.S. national team real
Way to
quick.
take a shot at Greg with two G's. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I think like I said, if mental health is truly as important as we say it is in today's society, then I think this is a good example of supporting a young player, whether he is on a rival team, and just hoping that's not more serious than is being said.
Yeah, that's funny you said that, because when you hear, like, when I saw the headline, my initial reaction is to laugh at United, but then at the same time, I kind of like really felt bad for the kid because he's a young kid and the mental health issue comes to play. And I think so, yeah, like, why bring up that thing? I mean, basically he said mentally not ready. Like, I don't know, like, did he show up to camp like fat? And that, then you could just say physical. I mean, when you say mental, you almost feel like he doesn't want to be there, or there's some other stuff going on. I'm sure he was disappointed in not being able to go to the World Cup, because at one point he was a shoe-in. I mean, when he was coming over, he was a shoe-in, and then he had some good performances. He actually started the season out pretty good too, and then kind of went down. Yeah, you kind of worry, and I'll be honest, like, I don't know. I mean, fair or not, maybe we're a bit more biased, but a team like us, I would be less worried about that because of the number of leaders we have. I mean, from Hendo to Milner to Van Dijk. I mean, Robo, like, there's so many guys over there who captain their own national teams and stuff like that. So you have that leadership qualities. I don't see as much of it at United where somebody can kind of like pull this kid aside and like talk to him. And I'm sure there's like captains and stuff there, but you look at some of the mature players, like a dude like Casemiro or somebody like that is new to the team too, like guy who has some like leadership qualities and has led teams and stuff like that. So it is kind of concerning in that aspect, like the mental aspect. And yeah, you're right. Like, I know he's going to be asked, but he could have just said like, oh, he has a knock, so he's practicing separately or something like that, right?
Right. And if I was a player, that's what I would hope my coach would do, just that's like owe me that simple common courtesy. But yeah, it's different. And who knows, maybe this is Ten Hag's management style, that he just, everything's open. But yeah, and I agree with your point. I don't think this would happen. Something like this would happen at Liverpool. I think, outside looking in, United just seems kind of like a toxic environment, even with the Ronaldo stuff, and just Greenwood a couple years ago, and just that whole setting in general just seems kind of very toxic. And so I think Liverpool, like you said, has enough players, enough experience to kind of be like, hey, if this is happening, we have enough people here to help you out. So, it's not to point fingers and be like, oh, Liverpool's better than United, but just kind of like, I'm glad that we, support a team that could, take care of something like that if it did come up.
Yeah, I mean, not that we needed more proof that Liverpool is better than United, but this is another one. Honestly, like something like this, probably when we do all this Bellingham talk and we keep hearing over and over again that, his parents wanted to go to Liverpool and stuff like that. And I can see, something like this being a good reason for it, like having somebody like Hendo over there, having somebody like Van Dijk over there and stuff like that, all these leaders over there to be able to take care of, because he's 19. Like, we keep forgetting he doesn't play like a 19-year-old, so we keep forgetting that, but the kid is 19, so you don't want a similar situation to Sancho over here. So I can see why, as a parent, I would want my kid going somewhere where he's taking care of. Like, there are people I trust in that place, and we're literally talking like a teenager over here still. So, but we'll talk a lot more about that once we sign Bellingham. Like, what is this? Like, we have like 2 weeks till January over here. Once we do that, we'll talk a lot more about it. But Rami, thanks as always, man. I hope your boys win today, but yeah, the brain says otherwise. But I just hope for a good game after yesterday's game that I could pretty much sleep watched. I'm hoping for a more competitive game today. Thanks a lot as always, and thanks to all those joining in. Scott, get back on the streets, man, and make sure don't pull anybody over. Let people go today. Just take it easy on people today. No tickets today, just warnings all day. So, and then we'll be back tomorrow morning, and we'll talk about this France game and other headlines as well. So, have a great Wednesday, everybody. Happy Hump Day. We'll see you guys tomorrow.